All right, we're doing Ask Me Anything. Questions have started to come in. So let me knock out some easy ones, okay? And keep them rolling. Again, Young Turks members, YouTube members, and Facebook members. When we say YouTube or Facebook members, we mean members on our channels. So Young Turks members on YouTube, Young Turks members on Facebook. Okay, so Nikki asks, Cenk, did the old lady that used to call into your public access channel ever get the opportunity to see you make it on Msnbc or TYT? Well, Nikki, that's a great question because I also often wonder that. I never heard from her again, but if you watch Mad as Hell, you know, she calls me and yells at me. I don't know if you remember this.
Of course I do, yeah.
And then later on my public access show, I don't know if it was a couple weeks, couple months later, she calls back and she's like, you know, Turk, you're not so bad.
You know why? Because she seemed to disagree with you a lot, but you would always take her calls and you were always so polite and you would joke around with her. And I think that you won her over.
Another thing I think that she noticed was that even though I was on the other side and at that time the quote unquote wrong side, I wasn't malicious and I had an open mind.
Yes, yeah.
And so I called out Fuzzy Zeller back then for his racism against Tiger Woods because I wasn't a racist. I was a Republican, but I was a liberal Republican. And so I think that threw people for a bit of a loop. And well, they were right. Eventually I left the party because it turns out there's a lot of them on that side over there. Anyway, but keeping an open mind, everybody. All right, so Raul asks, why do you guys ignore Andrew Yang? Ooh, tough, challenging question. Except I think we were the first national show to ever have him on. Plus, he's coming back on June 6th. So, love you, but totally wrong. We're not ignoring him at all. In fact, earlier today, I bragged about how we gave him a bump when he first came on the show.
Right, exactly. And by the way, if you're watching this and you're a member and you're wondering, how can I ask these questions? Please include your questions in the members only chat. That's how we determine whether or not you're a member, and we'll include your questions in some of the AMAs that we have planned for the future.
I don't know if it's our producers writing this or the folks that are writing #AMA. So yes, okay, so do #AMA on this. So anyway, Andrew will be back on soon, and he's doing well. I mean, look, for the candidates that aren't polling at the very, very top, he's catching a lot of establishment Democrats and passing them. So bless his heart. Look, some people now are against Andrew Yang because they're like, he's actually not that progressive on many other issues. He's great on universal basic income. But that's fair, that's okay. Our job is to give them a fair hearing, that's all, right? Amy Mack writes in, social scientists say facts don't change people's minds, stories do. Cenk, what changed you from a conservative to a progressive, facts or stories? Oh wow, that's such a great question. Okay. No, for me, it was definitely facts. So for example, climate change. I was dubious. I thought, this Gore guy, he's a little sus.
You're the worst. Cenk learns some honestly dated young people lingo, and then he like latches on and won't let go. So he's been using sus a lot lately.
I'll be saying sus for decades.
I know, 100%.
Okay, but I will take issue. It's not quite dated yet. Okay.
Agree to disagree.
You don't even know it.
I'm young.
And get out of here. You didn't even know it. Okay. So, anyways, but
you didn't even know.
Yeah, she didn't. But in the 1990s, we had not had 16 out of the last 17 years be the hottest years on record. Well, the jury's in. I mean, I didn't wait till the 17th year, but at some point along those lines, I was like, well, the temperature chart's going like this. Probably around here, I was like, yeah, good enough. It turns out they were right. The Republicans said they love to balance budgets. In my lifetime, they never did. And Clinton did, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting data point. Then Bush came in and was like, just kidding, and turned a record surplus into a giant deficit. I was like, oh, they never meant it. They were totally full of crap. And so as one fact after another came in, it was persuasive to me. But look, everybody's mind's a little different, and mine is beautiful. No, that one is
super sus.
Okay, that one is actually self-effacing, as in beautiful, mind as in crazy.
I know,
okay.
I got it.
But I'm not a tribalist. I'm not on any team. I've changed my mind on a lot of things, including religion and politics, etc. So all you have to do is make a good argument. And the viewers have changed my mind on a number of things. So God bless. Okay. Oh no, W. Calhoun. I don't know that we can do this. You really asking this? Okay. Anyway, now we're having fun. Who are TYT's biggest stoners in order of stoniest to mini stoned? Now the problem with that question is that I have to out people. So I will only out the people that have already outed themselves. So, but unfortunately both these folks are not here, but the two anymore, but the two that were number 1 and 2 were Jimmy Dore and Wes Clark Jr. And they were proud of it, and we even did an old school where we all smoked in the back, okay? And I was like a youngin', right? And one of Jimmy's nicknames is Professor Weed. So it gives you a sense, right? But if you think that recreationally on the weekends that some folks here might be enjoying the herb, you are not mistaken. Okay. In fact, right before we got started, I was telling Anna, I really like getting high. And we've talked a lot about this in the post games that are usually just for members. But I wonder if I have the best high on the planet, because I'm
sure everyone thinks they have the best high on the planet.
No, but that's my question. Do they?
Yeah, and
no, but yours is not as good as mine.
Mine is definitely, but look, it depends on what you need, right? And if it's giving you what you need, okay? So for me, I need something to calm the nerves, to make me a little more laid back, and I'll go with the flow. I told Cenk, he called me over the weekend for work-related stuff, and I was under the influence, and I was panicking, but I had to answer the phone, and I'm much more agreeable. So if you come at me with something that I typically would be a little more hesitant about, if I'm under the influence, I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's do it. And that's what happened in this case.
So as soon as she told me that, I was like, note to self, always call Anna on Saturdays. I don't know when I became FBI, but Secret Service. Anyway, so no, because when I get high, like I enjoy things more, which is normal, but I enjoy them a lot, which is like amplifying me, right? That's my personality to begin with. So there'll be a lot of like, yes!
Oh my God, do you think that my real personality is calm and agreeable?
No, that's interesting. It's doing the opposite for you. Right. Whereas for me, I'm like, if you thought I'm like excited on air, wait till you see me high. Well,
I don't know if I want to.
I know, right? Like, so I will eat a pound cake and I'll be like, yes! By the way, almost literally. / totally literally. Okay. All right, let me go to YouTube channel members for a second. Veronica McDavid asks, is John single? LOL. Or is it really LOL? Or are you really asking?
Oh, you're really asking. You're a bad girl.
Veronica is such a great name. The two best names are
Vanessa
and Veronica. Yes. Okay, anyways. Well, he is single, but he, as in not married.
Oh.
Okay. But he is dating someone and has been dating someone for some time.
Yeah, he's not single. Like, what are you talking?
It's such a funny, that's such a guy answer and
if
girl answer.
If my husband answered that way, by the way, like we're dating, and he was asked that question, and he's like, oh, well, I'm single and that I'm not married, I would cut him. Like he would die.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Whereas I'd be like, yeah, technically you're not single. And so, anyways, yeah, like if I said no, he's taken, you would assume he's married. You see what I'm saying? Anyway.
No one's gonna assume that, and he is taken.
Really?
Yeah.
I would have assumed. Maybe I'm old school. Let's go here to back to Young Turks members. Niasia Marie asks, when will Cenk and Anna announce who they're supporting for 2020? Okay, good question. A bit of a controversy there. I will announce it probably when I know it.
Same.
And yeah.
After several debates, I think it's super premature. I want to hear them all out. There's like 100 of them, right? So, And that goes back to not the first question, but one of the first questions about Andrew Yang. Like, remember, there's 100 of them. So it's impossible to talk about all of them all the time. We do our best, but again, I want to wait until I watch at least a few debates to make up my mind. I think it's too premature.
Yeah, and so if you're thinking we're being disingenuous because you know that we're not going to vote for some of the candidates, no, you're wrong. It's not disingenuous. We're super honest about it.
No, I know that I'm not going to vote for some of the candidates in the primaries, obviously.
Yeah. So would I vote for Biden over Trump? Absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate for a second. Okay. Would I vote for Biden in the primaries, given what his track record is and given what he said? Very unlikely. No, not very unlikely. I wouldn't. Let's keep it real. Okay. That doesn't mean I'm not going to give Joe Biden a fair hearing. I will, but you've seen us ask questions. We ask tough, aggressive questions to everybody. And so Tim Ryan came in here the other day, and it was a very friendly interview, but asked them very tough questions, and then it's up to them to answer them, right?
Yep.
So, anyways, but among the progressive candidates, they have their different strengths. It's real, right? Well, Elizabeth Warren is awesome on policy. Bernie's awesome in that he is an immovable object. And when he says he's going to do something, he's at least going to try to do it. It's definitely not BS, and there's no wavering with Bernie. So those are two really solid, fascinating, great options. And then Tulsi's good on some issues. Now Mike Gravel has even gone past Tulsi in being anti-war, and so he had a compelling interview on here the other day. And then everybody's kind of finding their lane, right? And everybody's pushing for different progressive policies, which is awesome, which is terrific, which is what you want.
Not everybody's pushing for specific, like Klobuchar.
Half of them, right?
Yeah.
A third of them. And then the other 2/3 are like, no, I got this, man. This country's really moderate to right wing, and I'm gonna go for that. That's the other 2/3. Good luck to those folks. Okay. Now, let me keep updating here and get you some more questions. All right, wow, there's a lot of questions. Okay, let's go to an interesting one here. Lakers Zombie. Anna, what's your go-to TV show or movie to watch under the influence of marijuana?
Oh, what a great question. I love these kinds of questions.
Okay.
So I am on a Parks and Rec kick right now, and also Barry on HBO.
Oh yeah, me too. Oh, and you got me started on Parks and Rec.
It's so good, isn't it?
I know.
You're gonna love it.
I know. I just watched 2, but I'm getting there.
So as you continue watching,
did you know that dude from Guardians of the Galaxy is on it?
I don't know what that means.
I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, that guy. By the way, he's very unlikable in the first season, but then he becomes likable. So don't give up on him yet.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing Hollywood didn't, because he's in every goddamn movie.
Yeah. But I love Barry. In fact, the latest episode of Barry, it's on HBO, I think was one of the best. There was a scene there that I watched while high last night, and I really appreciated the skill and talent that went behind the acting.
No, but be careful, because
I'm not even kidding.
Okay.
But by the way, weed does make you appreciate things, and like it just makes me hyper focused on what it is that I'm doing. And so I was paying really close attention to the show, and there was just this scene where a female lead did such a fantastic job, and I was like, God damn it, I appreciate her. I do.
Meanwhile,
I'm so entertained.
I watched the wrong Barry episode high. I don't watch many things high, but I watched the one where he gets stabbed, and there was a lot of gruesome stuff in there, and I was like, whoa, I was like, whoa.
You're taking a risk. You're taking a risk.
Okay.
I acknowledge that.
Yeah, I once watched an episode of Black Mirror while high. Don't do that either.
No, hell no.
Okay.
I can't watch Black Mirror. It makes me too depressed.
Anyway, I can't concentrate. So, although I am having unreal epiphanies while high recently. So, yes God bless. All right.
You gotta write
it's
down.
like no. I'm remembering them. It's like my own therapy sessions. And
I'm telling you.
I take truth serum like for myself. And I remember the last time I was like, oh, that's a hard truth, Cenk. Like when I stumbled onto something, I was like, oh, that's a hard truth. Anyway, this is a really good question that I'm not sure anybody's ever asked this. Jennifer Hackett says, just wondering, what do you guys do on your commercial breaks? Okay.
It depends. It depends. Well, for me, since I'm leading the show, I have to communicate with our team and make sure that we have what's coming up next ready and prepared to go. I have to communicate how I plan to go in order when it comes to our elements, our videos, our graphics, all of that stuff. Remember, the show's not scripted, so it's important to have that communication. If I have time, I'll check my phone, and I don't know. You're kind of off in your own world, doing your own thing.
No. I'm looking at different parts of the show that's coming up. So it might be the conversation, it might be the post game, it might be a story later on. And then I'm reading your guys' tweets and comments, which I'm going to read when we come back from the break.
Right, yeah.
And so I got to get those prepared. There's like and then I got to sometimes give editor's notes in the middle.
Yeah, actually, this is a great question because I realized something that I hadn't realized before. So on days when you're out and I'm leading the whole show and doing like the tweets and all that stuff, think about it. I have to communicate with the team. There's only 4 minutes. Communicate with the team. I need to read the tweets. I need to read the live reads and decide which live reads I'm gonna do when we come back. I mean, it's a nightmare. It's really difficult.
Yeah, and remember when I used to do the first hour alone, you got to do all that on your own, and that ain't nothing to mess with.
Right.
And so no, bottom line is pandemonium during the commercial breaks. Yeah. Okay, there's insanity in the studio every night. Okay, I just remembered that this is live and not just for members only. So we talked a lot about getting high. Oops.
And by the way, so when someone asked, who are the biggest stoners, the reason why neither one of us fall under that category is because I'm not like a wake and bake, I'm high all day kind of person. Because
no, are you kidding me? Because
I'm home and I'm not going anywhere else. I have no work left to do. I'm just home and I'm gonna go to sleep like 2 hours later.
No, like a lot of you, if you get high, it's hard to remember things. I don't know how Jimmy does it. So if I came on the show high, I'd be like, and coming up next, I have no idea. Right? So sometimes I'll be doing live videos from home or wherever or out in the world, and people are like, and whenever I do them at night, most common comments are you high, are you drunk? Never, like how I wouldn't know what the hell to say, right?
Yeah.
And except one time when I did a Wolfpack video at a Wolfpack gathering, and I was looking at it during the commercial break. Actually, it's one of the interstitials we run. I had one beer, and you could tell in my eyes. Anyway, let's keep going. Well, this one is slightly related. Monica T. Rodriguez, and by the way, tyt.com/join to ask these questions, to become a member and ask questions. And we're gonna keep on doing these AMAs on Tuesdays, every Tuesday. So get ready for the next one as well. So Monica asks, Anna, do you ever have political fights with your hubby? Now, first I'll answer, even though you didn't ask me, and then Anna will answer, okay? Classic, right? Well, we're gonna get to that in a second as well, because the next question is related to me interrupting you. So, are you nuts? Okay, I'm not having any fights with my wife, let alone political fights. Okay, so I like strong women, and I married one. So if we get into a political discussion, I'm getting the hell out. I do political discussions every day anyway. I don't need more trouble at home, okay? Like, oh, that is an interesting, good point, honey. Yeah, okay. Anyways, what's next? Like I'm out of that conversation as soon as I can.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I had a debate with my sister the other day, and it was about pot. And she's still she's wonderfully progressive, but she's still a little old school on marijuana.
Okay.
She's like maybe worried that her kids might be doing it. One of her kids is Hassan Piker. I was like, I don't want to say anything. Okay. Anyway, I'm like, Abla, that means older sister in Turks. I'm like, everybody's doing it. The other day I went to get edibles at one of the, it's legal in California, so they have stores everywhere now. And there's like an old, I don't know if the dude was a professor, but he looked like a professor.
Yeah,
and then there was like a middle-aged housewife, and there was just
totally
everybody's there, and it's like having a beer. So it's like people get scandalized, like, oh, Elon Musk smoked on Joe Rogan's show. The stock price of Tesla went down. What are you guys? Are you really like? Oh my God, Elon Musk had a beer. Stock price is plummeting. right?
God.
No, that's super old school.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
So I'm super lucky in that my husband was 100% apolitical, and then he met me, came in and started watching the show, and I would do my thing, and then that kind of sparked his curiosity. And I avoid political conversations with him, not because I'm worried we're gonna disagree, but because I don't wanna talk about politics when I get home after a full day of reading, researching, and talking about politics. Like, I need a break. But every once in a while, if I'm high, I will I'll answer his questions. Like, he'll ask me a bunch of questions. How does this work? Why does this happen? Blah, blah, blah. I do, or not anymore, but back in the day, I would get into political arguments with some of his family members who are Republican.
Bad idea.
Yeah, so.
Get out. if I saw you there, I'd walk up to you and be like, get out.
Yeah, and I've learned to, my response is usually, oh, that's an interesting perspective, and then I'll stop talking, right?
Yeah, there you go.
But
it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
But here's the thing, like, I'm the kind of person who, if you want to provoke me, I will get provoked, right? Like, it's happened so many times where I'm like, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. And then you give me like a few shots of tequila and it's over, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you want, like, if you provoke me and I speak my mind, you can't cry about how I spoke my mind.
Oh, well,
That's
there's Anna Kasparian, ladies and gentlemen. In my personal life, I do not get provoked easily. And so
he really doesn't, it's amazing.
So I'll take it and take it and take it and take it. But there is actually a limit, and you do not want to hit that limit. So that happens. Okay, so what's funny is that you said your husband asked you about politics. That greatly amused me because the idea of my wife asking me, like, oh, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
Like Cenk, you would know. What do you think? Hadn't happened yet.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So, anyway, look, there's a Chinese saying, and my wife is Chinese, that the monk from far away is always wiser. Because the monk you grew up with in your village, you know what a knucklehead he was in 3rd grade, right? And so how could that monk ever be wise? You grew up with him. You know all of his failings, etc. And if you've ever seen me in the real world doing mundane tasks, you would share my wife's attitude. Okay.
I don't know. Christian thinks I'm super smart.
Yeah.
He likes the monk that he grew up with.
All right, well, God bless. Look, I'm in one of my epiphanies when I was high, I came up with the realization that I'm too modest. Okay, now.
We're gonna talk about this tomorrow.
Yes, we're gonna talk about it in a later post game that's just for members. Okay, tyt.com/join. But only in a certain way. And we've talked about that a couple times before in the post games. Like, there is different parts of your mind that are great at things and not so great at things. And I've got some that I think I'm really good at. We'll have a conversation over it, and other parts that I'm not really good at. So that's the monk from your village. Okay. So, anyways, Hittin' Dave says, Anna, do you feel Cenk talks over the other hosts a lot? And is that part of his charm, asking for a friend?
So yes and no.
Okay, let me explain.
So look, it's you've been on one this week, right? So, well, you guys are members, even though this is open to everyone right now. Look, I know you really, really well, and I think you know me really, really well. So there are days when you're in a normal mood or in a good mood, and when you do it then, it really does get on my nerves because I'm like, he's not even in like one of his rage-filled moods. So like, just, I wanna talk, I wanna say something, right? And the thing is, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. And so if I feel like my commentary is gonna make the video too long and we gotta get to the other stuff that we spent all day preparing, then I'm just gonna move on. But on days like yesterday, for instance, you came in and you were in a rage. And I was like, you know what? Today is his day. And the reason why I say that, and this is something that I don't think most people know, and I definitely like fall under this category. Sometimes this show is our outlet. So if we're angry about injustice or we're angry about stuff that we're seeing, like this show is an outlet, you know? And I feel like you were in that place yesterday. So I was like, do you, boo? I'm fine presenting and just letting you do your thing and we'll move on. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably why in my real life, I don't get triggered easily, because I vent on the show. I got I got it out of my system.
Yeah.
So I think your standard makes sense.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why do we always have to go, it's because we want to give you more stories.
Yeah, exactly.
We want to give you as many stories as possible. We almost always have one or two stories left that we didn't get to. And they were good stories and we wanted to get to them, but we also wanted to give you the details that you need to know on the other stories. So that's the balancing act that we have to do. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the YouTube channel members. ABCXYZ writes in, hi Cenk and Anna, TYT style and content is clearly separating themselves from mainstream media, thank you. This is also something that is needed in Europe, even in developed and partly social democratic nations like my country, the Netherlands. Will you consider setting up or supporting a TYT Europe or TYT any country? There's a gap in the market for progressive media here and it could reach a wide audience. In fact, there's no professional progressive media presence on YouTube except from the US. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that because it is very hard to make news financially viable, especially online. And so that is, and the smaller your market is, the harder it is. So that's why local news is really hard to make sustainable in America, but we're actually doing a program now to try to do that. So the more details we have about that, we'll let you know as soon as we're ready on that, in conjunction with YouTube. And when we've always wanted to be international, I honestly would go to Netherlands near the end, not in the beginning. No disrespect, in fact, quite the opposite.
Yeah, you guys are doing pretty well.
Yeah, you're doing okay. It needs it the least. I would want to do it in Chinese and in Spanish and in Arabic and in Russian, and so there's a lot of languages there that I think kind of a rebel media that speaks truth to power is really, really necessary, and we wouldn't do it. We would have native hosts do it. So whoever's a native speaker of Russian, Arabic, Chinese, etc., and we'd get all new hosts, and for those particular languages and countries and areas of the world, that's really expensive. And that's why, although I've been dying to do it for 10 years, we still haven't gotten to it. So look, I don't know anybody that keeps it more real than we do. So that's just the reality of digital media. And so it's a minor miracle we've been around 17 years. And so people keep trying to knock us off. We keep hanging around, hanging around. So now a couple more and then I think we got to wrap. So I'll go to a total softball from our members. Mr. Music Fan says, and by the way, you're all our members. I just mean on the website. Mr. Music Fan says, for Anna, my best friend wants to know, how are you so fabulous?
Well, this is actually, gotta give you a detailed answer. I don't know, I think I'm a normal person. And what I love is that I get to be myself on this show and I don't have to pretend to be someone who's different. And you guys accept me for who I am and it means a lot to me, so thank you.
Yeah. Notice that I didn't get that question, or almost any question, but still, we move forward. Okay, continuing the theme, Ryan Rondeau says, Anna.
No, you know what? I'm gonna go back to that last question real quick because of you. So Cenk is fabulous because you know who supports me for who I am? Cenk. Like, I'm not always easy. Like sometimes I can be difficult. I acknowledge that.
No.
And what I mean by difficult is I'm a strong personality, right? And if I think that something needs to be done a certain way because it's the right way to do it, and we have that disagreement, you'll let me fight you on it and you won't retaliate. And that's huge. The fact that you support someone disagreeing with you and you're like you're the boss, it's awesome. So he is fabulous in more ways than people realize.
That's very, very sweet. Thank you, Anna. I really appreciate it. All right, back to Ryan. Anna, what's your favorite home improvement project?
Ooh.
Oh, I knew you'd love that
one. I like
one.
This. I'll tell you what my least favorite was so far. We needed new flooring And I hated it. I hated every part of it because the guy who came in and installed the floors, I wanted to do it myself, but Christian stopped me and he's like, you're already stressed out. How are you gonna install floors right now? So I agreed with him, we hired someone. The guy was a little lazy. He didn't wanna remove the floorboards. And so what he did was he added extra trim around, and then I had to do caulking and painting. And it was a disaster and it was super stressful, did not enjoy that. I don't like caulk, okay? I don't like caulking. But what I do like doing is anything involving design. I love bathroom and kitchen design projects. That's my favorite.
Okay, I was coughing out a lung as usual. So,
how do people do caulking without getting caulk everywhere? That's what I need to know.
I think that's what America wants to know.
There's different types of caulk. There's like, there's clear caulk, there's white caulk. What kind of caulk do you use? I'm a child.
Indeed. It took all of our willpower not to label the Ben Shapiro video the other day, "Virgin destroyed by BBC." What? We didn't do it. We didn't do it. Okay. Okay. So, all right. Let's go to another easy one. Kwai Ji Bo says, "Does marijuana live in the studio building?" Yes, he's right around the corner.
Yeah.
He actually
look
has.
At this guy.
Oh, is he
Look
getting a
at
shower?
This guy. He's getting a fine mist.
Wow, man, that guy lives better than I do.
He really does.
Man, he was so small compared to what he is now. And you know who built him that giant cage? Physically, literally, one of our editors, Andrew Fogel, is a great guy. But you guys did. So you guys noticed him during the commercial breaks when we were doing the show live, 6 to 9 p.m. And just somebody started, I don't know if it was Indiegogo or GoFundMe or whatever. And I had to stop you guys. I was like, I don't know how we can spend that much on a cage. Stop, right?
Yeah.
But Andrew built this wonderful structure for him. Yeah. And so then he grew and grew and grew. I mean, he might be 3 or 4 times the size he was before. So for all of you who contributed to that, thank you. We spent all of it on it. And as you can tell, because it's kind of glorious.
God, look at him.
Right?
That's amazing. And he also has his own section of the office fridge. Like
That's
with
a bit
all
too
of
much.
his fresh vegetables and things like that and greens that he eats.
Yep. Matthew Dooley asks, can you try to get more queer and trans voices on panels? Okay, I'm glad you asked. In fact, we are doing an LGBT special on June 11th.
Nice.
Okay, and the whole panel is from people from the community, and they're gonna talk about the progress they made, the damage done by the current administration, etc. So don't miss it, tyt.com on June 11th. We'll be doing that special right after the show, okay? Let me do this one here. CS451 says, what nonfiction and fiction books have you read and enjoyed recently? So I can do one because we were talking about in the post game earlier, a couple of weeks ago. And I even finished it, I'm so proud. Because since I read so much for the show and I run the company, I don't have a lot of time to read books. But I did the
subtle art.
Yeah, the subtle art of not giving an F. Okay, and it was actually really good. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was just like, oh, shocking title. And normally these like self-help books are pretty disastrous. No, but he had an excellent, irreverent attitude, and more importantly, though, got the truths that matter. And we talked about a bunch of them in earlier post games. So I would actually highly recommend that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to read that. I just finished Dare to Lead by Brene Brown, just to kind of like.
Oh, that's what my sister was talking about.
Yeah.
The other day.
I have controversial views.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's too much. And look, to be fair, this is the type of book I should be reading, right? To sharpen my leadership skills. There's a lot in there about like, be vulnerable with your team and be vulnerable, be vulnerable, be vulnerable, be vulnerable. Like it's nonstop, be vulnerable. Like
really? Because the one thing that My sister told me, actually helped me. She said, apparently in the book it says that, look, you got to say no more often, which seems like kind of not the opposite of what you're saying, but a little bit different than what you're saying. And it's always uncomfortable, but just rip the Band-Aid off and you'll have 6 seconds of uncomfortableness, but then you'll get to a better place.
Totally, yeah.
And that is useful advice.
Yeah, and so there are helpful parts of that book. I'm not trying to take away from that, but there is a lot about being vulnerable, and I'm resistant to that, like in some ways, and I shouldn't be, but I am. So that's why I'm complaining a little bit.
Yeah. So Confessions of an Economic Hitman was great, and we actually had the author on. I read that book 10, 15 years ago, but we had the author on Aggressive Progressive, and so that was pretty neat, and I was pretty psyched about that. Okay, apparently we're out of time, so we're going to end on Jimmy Cool. Not so much a question, but a request. Would you guys be willing to do the goodbye wave at 8 p.m. again? So the answer, I think, is no, because there's a whole other. It used to be that the show was 6 to 8 p.m. It's now 6 to 9 p.m. because then we do guests for the extra half hour in the beginning, and then we do the last half hour for just members, tyt.com/join, except on Tuesdays apparently when we're doing this. And so now it's a 3-hour show, so it doesn't make any sense to wave goodbye when we've got a whole nother hour left. But Jimmy Cool, I love that you asked that, because we've been meaning to and kept forgetting to end the post games with a bye-bye, okay? And there's no reason why we can't do that.
Right.
So appropriately, bye-bye.